As much as it pains me to admit this, when I first dove into the wonderful cesspool that is anime and manga, it started with your typical Dragon Ball Z's and Naruto's, the occasional episode of Attack on Titan, or even something obscure like Seraph of the End. Well, at least at the time it was obscure. Anyway, my main point is, as time progressed and the little weebling inside of me continued to grow with each new manga I engulfed or anime that I binged with an admittedly unholy amount of time, I moved ever closer to the edge. You see, for those of you who aren't as journeyed when it comes to anime, you probably have little to no clue what the hell I'm even talking about. I can see it now. You're sitting at home on your phone or tablet or whatever wondering, what are you talking about, oh dark one? What is this mysterious edge that you speak of? Well, stop breathing so goddamn hard into your device and I'll tell you. To understand what I mean, I'll write out a very common scenario that most, if not all, weebs find themselves in at one point. Imagine you're on the hunt for that brand new anime to occupy your mind for a while. You try this, you try that, but ultimately none of the usual action-packed or battle-oriented stuff is holding your attention. So you begin looking to the genres that you never had the chance to check out until suddenly you find that one anime that for whatever reason stands out to you. The cover art seems cool and the premise sounds aight, so you grab your evil cloak and stuffed animals, created by the one and only King Revolt, ruler of darkness and kittens everywhere, extras and accessories sold separately. Next, proceeding to turn down the lights and tempering your excitement to dig into this new fascinating anime, you realize that this random anime that you stumbled across is chock full of titties and ass, and it has taken your very soul. This is what it means to be near the edge, and to also take one giant step off into the void. Now, look, I know, you're probably noting how none of this has to do with the namesake of the video, but let me assure you, intelligent viewer, that Golden Boy didn't just invent the edge, but it created the whole goddamn mountain that trash anime exists upon. My name is King Revolt, and today we will be talking about an anime OG, Golden Boy. Relax, sit back, and make sure your parents aren't listening because this video is definitely getting demonetized. Golden Boy is an extremely simple anime. Starting with episode 1, the plot structure of the 6-episode series does not deviate a single time as Kentaro Oe, our lovable and sometimes misguided protagonist, gets into wacky shenanigans before subsequently getting the girl and riding his Mikazuki 5 into the sunset. That's not to say the show is by any means boring, but if you're coming to watch this in the hopes that anything substantial happens in the 6 episodes that exist, well, unfortunately, you will be disappointed. Jumping directly into episode 1, I had no clue what to expect. I mean, I had seen clips of Kentaro's funniest moments, but those tended to be wholesome or just outright silly, so I had no reason to assume that I would get hit with insane boob physics and a man, for whatever reason, likes hugging recently used toilets. Entry number 1 of the sextuplet opens with my boy Kentaro minding his business as he heads to his newly appointed temp job. As he's riding along on his Mikazuki 5, he's run off the road by a lady whose body can seemingly defy physics. She tosses him some cash, talks some mad shit, and then dips. Kentaro, not being one to be fazed by a pretty lady with an attitude, continues on his way to work, but not before fixing his treasured bike. All goes well at the bike shop. Kentaro even helps the elderly owners after they're shaken down by some off-brand mobsters, and then he proceeds to his new temp job, only to find out that the sports car lady is the company president. Yeah, that's right, it's one of those anime. After being introduced to everyone in the office, my guy K Money starts wilding on some pervy shit. At one point, my mans puts on a coworker's bra before proceeding to hide in a motherfucking locker and drawing them as they change. Later, he gets caught making out with the toilet that the president uses, and finally gets himself canned by deleting the project that the company had worked 3 goddamn months on. Kentaro ain't built for the office life at all, and it shows. I'm not gonna lie, this was kind of what I expected after I discovered what kind of anime this was. The skillless pervert who cannot function normally within a society trope was kind of what I expected, but the anime went as far as subverting my expectations because not only does Kentaro create a new, better project after he's fired as an apology, but the president falls madly in love with him by the end of the episode after she learns of Kentaro's genuine nature. Not only does Kentaro prove to be someone with a genuinely good heart despite doing way too much at times, He also surprises those around him and keeps moving into the future regardless of whatever situation he's in. I think the reason why I enjoyed Kintaro so much, despite certain scenes, is that he represents the human desire to be free and unchained from social norms, or even the pressures placed upon us by society. And although the anime takes a very formulaic and satirical tone in most of the situations he finds himself in, the message remains clear all the way through, and that's what makes him so unique among the typical anime protags you see in a show like this. I also think that's what makes this anime so unique among the perverted genre that it set the precedent for back in the 90s. I'm not gonna sit here and spoil all 6 episodes of the anime for those of you who would like to experience the odd wholesomeness that is present by the end of the series, but I will say that despite the anime being harder for me to take seriously at first, even taking me multiple days to finish episode 2, once it hits its stride, I couldn't stop watching. Golden Boy for me was a very odd experience. I dreaded watching it at first, and even as I write this script, I find it very hard to talk about in depth because it's just one of those things that came out of nowhere and something that you must experience for yourself to decide whether it's for you or not. I wouldn't recommend this anime to everyone, quite frankly, but I understand why it has such a cult-like following. Upon finishing the anime, I began to wonder, why are there just 6 episodes? I mean, I think the length is perfect and it definitely doesn't overstay its welcome, but as I did some digging, I found out that it was cancelled due to a lack of budget. And fortunately, there was a manga that continued right where the anime left off, omitting episode 6. I'll be honest, I was mostly just excited to see where this character ended up, but unfortunately the manga had different plans. Look, I'm just gonna say it, be glad I read this shit so y'all ain't have to, because even having seen fairly explicit things in my life, the shit that is in this manga should never have been written down, let alone drawn. Kintaro's character is nowhere near the guy that he was in the anime. He is instead morphed into this cultish, traveling sex god type character, and he's not at all similar to the dude we're familiar with from the anime. After reading the manga and learning of his weird origin story, and seeing how it all culminates into this weird VR fever dream that the president has, I can promptly say, read this shit at your own risk. It has nothing to do with the anime other than sharing a name. And with this, we get a shot of K-Money riding off into the sunset on his Mikazuki 5, looking for his next adventure. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next King's retelling.